Do you love 80s action movies that are light on the plot and heavy on the awesome? Well, boy, do I have an anime for you. Riding Bean is a 1989 OVA that only lasts a mere 45 minutes, but has still managed to leave a bigger impact on the anime fandom than some TV series that are 45 episodes long. However, despite it being fairly well received, at least in America, it is what it is, a single 45-minute OVA episode, and that's a real shame. This deserved more. It deserved much, much more. In fact, I would love to be isekai to a world where this is a 45-episode anime series, but unfortunately, we live in a reality where isekais are huge, Mad Bull 34 only managed to get 4 episodes itself, and The Legend of Overfiend never got a made-for-TV series. Life just isn't fair, is it? So, before we go any further, what exactly is Riding Bean? It's a quick little OVA about Bean Bandit and Rally Vincent, but not exactly that Rally Vincent, this Rally Vincent, and both of them drive around the town of Chicago in their car that can do pretty much anything. Bean and Rally are the power couple that will help anybody out with their fancy car, if you pay them enough. Well, thanks to some 80s anime bad guys, they get framed for kidnapping a kid, and then there's a long car chase. That's it. That's the whole thing. Seriously, I told you there wasn't a whole lot of plot. So the story is a little bit, well, light. But that's not what this OVA is all about anyway. I mean, this is a Kenshi Sanada joint, actually his first proper manga and OVA. Now here on Kimchi no Video, we don't talk about creators a ton, but Kenshi Sanada, he's a little bit different because we really like what he does. This is the guy behind the character designs for Bubblegum Crisis, Gall Force, and of course, the series this entire channel is named after, Otaku no Video. This is also the guy that brought us what's essentially Riding Bean Part 2, Gunsmith Cats. His visual aesthetics are so recognizable and so likable. That being said, there are themes that run through, well, pretty much everything that he's ever done. Girls, guns, cars. This guy knows what he likes and he never really strays too far from the path. I bring this up because Riding Bean is basically Kenshi Sanada, the anime. I see no world where this guy saw the finished product and didn't think it was the coolest thing in the world. The 80s saw quite a few anime projects that were made by otaku for otaku, and this one very much falls into that category. Now, when I say this was an anime made by otaku for otaku, you have to remember the original meaning and connotations associated with the term otaku. In 1989, this wasn't just a term for anime nerds like it is today in America. Sure, you could be an anime otaku, but you could also be an idol otaku. You could be a video game otaku. You could be an ALF otaku. The possibilities were endless. Kenshi Sanada would certainly fall into the category of gun and car otaku, but I'm gonna venture a guess that he really liked authoritative women as well. Everything this man has ever touched has all of his fandoms displayed front and center, at least to a degree. Ironically enough, Riding Bean probably has the most even male to female ratio as far as the cast goes, but I digress. So the art is awesome while the story is admittedly light, but it gets the job done for an 80s action OVA. So what else is there to this thing? Well, it screams 1980s cool. It's a time capsule in all the best ways. Not to sound like a boomer, but they really don't make them like this anymore. I love a lot of modern anime, but 80s anime just hits different. This almost feels like it soaked up everything that the 80s anime scene had to offer and then distilled it into 45 minutes of pure awesome to end the entire decade of anime right. On top of that, this thing takes place in Chicago, in America, the last city I ever saw Kiss in. I absolutely love it when creators seem so obsessed with a different country, or in this case, a specific city even, that they base their entire show in that country. It's even better when it's America since, I live here and whatnot, and even with this taking place in America, it feels distinctly Japanese. Could this have been made in America? Sure, but it would have been different. The violence would have been toned down, there wouldn't be a girl in the beginning with no clothes on, and Bean wouldn't be as cool. It's just the perfect combination of two cultures colliding in a way that isn't exactly American per se, but it sure feels like they wanted you to think it was. Speaking of America's influence, have you heard the music? This is what I'm talking about. Pure 80s action movie cheese refined into a perfect work of musical expression. It's killer. The soundtrack was put together by David Garfield. I personally don't know much about the guy myself, but he has worked with everyone from Cher to Spinal Tap. I mean, come on. What else do you need to be legit? Also, he just so happens to be super American, so that does add to the American vibes in this anime. They even released it on CD. Now that would be a cool collectible to hunt down. So if you're a fan of 80s montage music, you're gonna love this stuff. And if you're not a fan of 80s montage music, what's wrong with you? This stuff is great. Just enjoy it. Have fun with it. That's what life's all about. Everything about Writing Bean is sounding pretty awesome, right? Well, that's because it is awesome. So why didn't we get more of this series? We obviously deserved a cinematic universe based around this title on par with Marvel, but that's not exactly how it all went down. The original manga got canceled pretty quickly because the publication the manga was part of also got canceled, and supposedly the anime never made it past one episode due to a falling out between Kenichi and Toshiba EMI, the company that released this one episode. All good things must come to an end, but it's still so sad to see that this series wasn't picked up by another company and turned into a multi-part OVA or a TV series of some sort. I know Gunsmith Cats followed it up as its spiritual successor with many of the same characters and story elements, but I will always pine for a world where Writing Bean was given the proper chance to be a stadium headliner that it could have been, as opposed to being the healthy club draw that it became. Despite all that, this was licensed by Animego in America rather quickly, making it one of the very first tapes released by that legendary company. This also made this anime part of the early anime releases in America that were actually branded as, well, anime. How fitting for a show about America. And through the years, they put this thing out quite a few more times. It was eventually dubbed and re-released on VHS with that dub. It was also put on Laserdisc, it was put on DVD, and eventually it had a very, very successful crowdfunding campaign to re-release it yet again in a very, very nice Blu-ray package fitting of a legendary anime such as this. And trust me, this Blu-ray looks absolutely incredible. It is well worth your time and money to add this thing to your physical media collection. You can even order it directly from Animego on their website with an exclusive slipcover. I would say it's well worth picking up. So yeah, it's safe to say that this OVA has pretty much been a staple in American anime fandom since its release, which of course was the beginning of official releases for American anime fandom. So it's kind of always been a part of American anime fandom, and with this newest remaster, I think it's going to continue to be a staple for years to come. So there you have it. Writing Bean is an essential vintage anime that should be enjoyed by, well, just about everyone. If you like 80s action movies, I see no way you won't have a smile on your face while watching this thing, and if you don't like 80s action movies, maybe you should still give it a chance. It's got all the ingredients for a good time after all. Sure, it might not be the deepest thing in the world, but who cares? It's fun, it's a good time, and that's what the 80s were all about. Just ask Bret Michaels. In the world we live in today, I think everyone could stand to have just a little bit more fun, and Writing Bean can certainly help with that, so go check it out if you haven't. And Animego is pretty awesome and more alive than ever, so definitely support them by adding the shiny new Blu-ray to your collection. It might scream 1980s, but at least it's aged better than Winger's creepy anthem, 17.